Good morning, everybody. This is Just Like You, and my name is Mike Lantz. We have a wonderful group of guests here today, but first let me make a few announcements. Number one, I'd like to thank Al for putting on the program that Bob Branco also has called Introspectives, and we appreciate that. And we'd like to also thank Al for giving us the time on the radio show. You're a really good landsman.
Appreciate that. Right. We're going to give you. We'll give you a day. We'll give you a day off next week, Mike.
Okay, and I really appreciate that. And I also want to mention about we had a former broadcaster who worked in radio in the Boston area for years. He died the other day. His name was I forget his name. Ken Meyer. There we go. Ken Meyer. Come on, brain, work right. And Ken used to work at many stations in Boston. He was a producer of the Larry Glick Show on WBZ, and I never met him, but he was in radio for years, and he did a lot of different things, and he also had a podcast. He was a very nice person. Yesterday, I happened to celebrate my 57th anniversary of when I was bar mitzvahed, and went to the deli and had good food, matzo ball soup, and some salad. Now let's get on with the show. We have Mike Kublin, who's going to introduce the guest. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, and congratulations on the anniversary of your bar mitzvah. Mine is coming up, but very nice. And thank you for being so gracious with this program. First of all, we have a lot of guests on today, and I want to introduce two special guests, Michelle Abraham and Malachy Fallon. Michelle Abraham is from the JBI Jewish Braille Institute of New York, and Malachy Fallon is the executive director of the Xavier Society for the Blind. And both these organizations are dedicated to helping blind people get the materials that they need in order to be able to read either in Braille, listen to books in audio, get large text prints, bring in any special things that they need in order to be able to connect with their communities. And it's so awesome because we have two major religions here. We have the Jewish JBI, the Jewish Braille Institute, and their focus is to make sure that anyone that wants to connect with the Jewish community that is Jewish and wants to connect with their culture and be able to fully understand anything that happens in Jewish literature, or be involved in writing and be involved in understanding anything that happens in the religion. They provide materials that are accessible for any person that participates that is Jewish. And the Xavier Society does the same for the Catholic world and wants to make sure that they have materials that people that normally can't get these materials get what they need in order to be able to understand the deep messages and meaningful messages that are, in my mind, inspired by God, that connects all of us together. We have Malachy and Michelle, and I'm so thankful and grateful for both of you being on the show. We also have Lou Cocomello. Lou keeps us organized, keeps us focused, and has been working with people that are disabled for many years and helps us keep ourselves focused. We have Naomi Rivera, and Naomi, thank you so much also for participating. Naomi was blind in her early childhood age, and Mike Lantz also blind. So I'm sure, are going to have a ton of questions, but I'd like to hear from Michelle and Malachy, and I don't care who goes first, but I'd like to hear from you guys on what is it that you want the public to know about your organizations, and how can the public, their awareness, help both of you. So why don't we start with Malachy, and why don't we?
Sure. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, as you mentioned, we've been around since 1900, so this year is our 125th anniversary. And even though we've been around a long, long time, there are still very many people who don't know about us. So an opportunity like this to be able to get out and talk about what we do and how we do it, to reach people who are not familiar with Xavier Society for the Blind, and who could benefit from the materials that we provide, as you mentioned, in Braille, audio, and large print, is very important to us. I often say we're one of the best kept secrets out there, and we've been trying to do a lot through social media, through appearances like this. We've been fortunate to have a good number of magazines write articles about our mission. So my primary purpose today is just to let people know that we're here, and that we can provide materials, reading materials, that are largely Catholic in nature, but not exclusively Catholic, that are also very much geared towards spirituality generally, and inspiration generally, and that everything that we provide free of charge. So that's an important.
Wow, that's even better.
Of what we do as well.
I have a question for Michelle, I believe it is.
Well,
I understand you also have a Hebrew course in Braille, right?
Say that again, that we have what in Braille? I'm sorry.
Mike,
Yeah, Hebrew course. You have a Braille thing where you can learn how to speak, how to read Hebrew Braille?
We do, yeah, absolutely. So JBI Library, I suppose, is Xavier's little sister. We're only 92 years old this year. But again, like a really old organization, in that deep commitment of both of our faiths to make sure that we are including everybody. And we do indeed print in Braille, Hebrew, and in English. In fact, Rabbi Harry Grevis from the 1950s created the Hebrew Braille Code in partnership with us when we were just launching. And we, like Malachy said, are very much the same. I often say as well that we're really best kept secret, just in a different faith tradition, that we are around. JBI Library went through a transition over the last 3 years to really expand and reimagine in partnership with our patrons. So not only are we including, like you had mentioned earlier, that you had one of our Haggadot, we do Haggadahs. This season, we're working on Machzors, on high holiday prayer books in Braille and large print from all of the Jewish movements. So wherever your faith takes you, we have different materials to support that. We also have a huge lending library of 11,000 titles, as well as we now are running different programming. We're running a great series on sensing the high holidays, of learning for people who want to learn and with the community. We also have children's materials due to a partnership with PJ Library. We're able to offer twin view children's materials. And like you just asked, we also do Hebrew. We have a course that you can take to learn Hebrew Braille so that you're able to read those materials. So we also are just, I'm really grateful to be able to start to share the story and to get more people to know about our work and what we're doing, so that if you need us, when someone you know or love needs us, we want to partner with you.
Can I ask a couple of questions? So both of you guys mentioned how many years these organizations have been in existence. I read that the Xavier Society started in around 1900, and Michelle, the JBI started about maybe 10, 15 years later. So I'm curious, these pioneers that were out there back then, so they obviously saw a need out there. What do you both believe are the barriers to that need being proliferated, and getting the message out so that people understand that you guys are there, that you can help? What is the biggest barriers that you guys see?
So I often say, Mike, that we can't just place a print ad in a newspaper, because the people we serve are blind; they're not going to see it, right? So it's not sort of as obvious a solution as it is for other organizations. So what we try to do, and we serve, most of our patrons are in the United States, but we also serve patrons outside the United States in 20 countries. Within the United States, we really try to work through the Catholic Church structure within the United States, the diocese and the archdiocese across the United States, and then individual parishes. Our largest product line, or offering, if you would, is called the Mass proper. So these are the prayers and responses for the Catholic Mass throughout the year. So every Sunday Mass, there's a separate Mass proper in Braille and large print that we produce. And that's very important for our patrons who want to participate actively in their faith, either as part of the congregation or in many, many cases as lectors. So actually doing the readings, doing the prayers, doing the responses at weekly Mass. So it's important for us, since that's such an important kind of foundational element of what we do, it's very important for us to reach out to the churches, the Catholic churches in the United States, through the larger hierarchy of the archdiocese. And many of the archdioceses and dioceses have ministries for serving disabled individuals, not just blind individuals, but individuals with other types of disabilities as well. So that's sort of the primary focus. And then also, and I'm sure it's the same for Michelle, we have very strong relationships with the schools for the blind across the United States. And that's how we got started. We had a young woman, Margaret Coffey, who was blind. She was a young woman, and she taught blind children about their Catholic faith. And she realized that her students did not have the same books available that their sighted classmates did. And she wanted to do something about that. So at the time she partnered with a Catholic priest, a Jesuit priest here in New York City, Father Joseph Stottleman, who at the time was working with deaf children. So she felt, I suppose, that he had some experience working with children with disabilities, and she partnered with him to found Xavier Society for the Blind to begin producing those textbooks or those resource books for the blind children in her class, so that they could learn about their Catholic faith.
Michelle.
I will be eventually talking to the small Jewish Hebrew radio station, and I'll be mentioning about the Jewish Braille Institute and what they have. I'll also be talking to a friend of mine who does a Jewish show on the radio on Sunday morning. Roni.
Awesome, Mike.
Yeah, thank
Michelle,
you. I mean, thank you for both of those. I think you sort of named for me what I am seeing in so many ways as our best strategies around outreach, which is really people talking to people, right? We know that when you see a news ad or you hear a public service announcement, you sort of gloss over it, right? The world is filled with lots of information now, but we know it actually does. It is people to people, connectors, human to human, right? So our patrons and our leaders sharing with their friends, like, hey, you know what? I got a Haggadah, and I really needed this, and suddenly could take part in Seder with my family. And being able to say that so that word by word, and then they say, just call JBI, you can get one too. Right, making those connections. And the other set of connectors, in addition to our patrons for the friend to friend, is also Jewish professionals, right? Rabbis, educators, cantors, Jewish communal leaders, people in synagogues and Jewish community centers and federations, right? This incredible network of Jewish leaders, and them being able to know about us so that they're connecting people, right? So that when someone walks into their shul and says, oh, I need this in larger print than the 16 point or the 18 point that maybe the publisher provides, and someone is able to say, you know what, go to JBI Library, they can do it for you in 22 point, 24 point, 30 point, whatever you need. And we do that. We print on demand, based on the size of what people need, in addition, obviously, to the Braille that we do. And that to me is really the key here, right? Talking people to people in the same way we're sitting in this room chatting with all of you. And those of you who are listening in, you know, it's people to people connected into it. JBI Library, you know, was founded, as Malachy shared a little of their birth story. We were founded in the 1930s by two men, blanking on their names, Michael Aronson, Rabbi Michael Aronson and Leopold Gold. And they too, a sort of similar story, saw that there was a need in the Jewish community if we were going to actually be the community that we want to be, that has every voice and everyone participating, that there was this block. You know, I mean, those of you from the Jewish faith know that the Jews are often called the people of the book, right? So much of Judaism is tied to the written word. Being able to read the prayer book, being able to read the cultural materials, being able to study Talmud is really hard to do without it written in front of you. And in fact, the gentleman, Rabbi Perry Babis, who created Hebrew Braille, he did it because he was in rabbinic school and was trying to study Talmud without being able to actually have the text in front of him. And he was like, okay, if this doesn't exist, I'm going to create it, because the only way to really access this tradition is to access these. And so that's really a powerful part of what JBI does. And not only in the religious, spiritual space to make worship more accessible and Jewish study more accessible, but Jewish culture is a huge thing. So many books and so many things in our space. And so that's why we also have a lending library of over 11,000 titles where people can really access Jewish culture and Jewish stories, from, you know, Isaac Batsheva's singer to much more modern, playful ones than that, right? But that's that space of how do we really invite people in and create the holy community that everybody is sitting.
Yeah, Mike, I have a question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
For both of our guests. How does someone obtain the literature? Do they do it through their parish and through the synagogue? Or do you have a website that they can look through and order books for someone that's blind?
Yeah, so for us, we have a brand new website. We're very excited. It soft launched about 3 weeks ago. So if you go to jbilibrary.org, that's jbilibrary.org, you'll go to our site. If you are someone who is blind or low vision, we are still in a little bit of beta testing to make sure that our site is fully accessible. So if for some reason there's something you don't feel like you can easily access, please let us know. The other way to reach out to us is by phone. I have 3 amazing librarians who answer our phones and will help you figure out whatever you need. Our number is 212-889-2525. 212-889-2525. And from there, our librarians can help you, or you can do self-service on our website. You can order your Mahzor, your High Holiday Prayer Book. You can view our entire lending library. You can also view, you'll see on the homepage all the programs and activities we're running. Or, you know, just call our librarians if that's easier for you, and just chat with them and they can help you find out as well.
Yeah, and Lou, similarly, you can go to our patrons, or potential patrons can go to our website, Xavier Society for the Blind.org. And we also have a couple of ways to call in. We have a toll-free number, an 800 number, and that's 800-637-9193. And patrons and potential patrons can browse our catalog online to see what they might be interested in to order. And we have a client service coordinator who can work with the patrons to give them more information about what's available and also how to register with us.
Yeah, at the end of the show, I'm going to take your websites and add it onto our Facebook page. So if anybody listening didn't have the opportunity to write down the website, you could look on our Just Like You Facebook page, and it'll be available on the page.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
The curiosity for me is, when people go to the sites, are they mainly blind people going to the sites, or are people that are sighted going to the sites and helping, or is it a combination?
I think it's a combination. And again, our website, is accessible. Our application form is an accessible document. Our client services coordinator will help, with the application. But I think it's a combination. Oftentimes, it's parents who are looking for books in Braille for their children, or audiobooks for their children. We have a pretty good selection of books for children. Oftentimes it's teachers who are like Margaret Coffey, our foundress, who are looking for books or who need to order and request that we produce books in Braille that their students will need for their classes. So as you suggest, Michael, it's a combination.
Which I love, because the fact is that, it opens it up for everyone, so that, sighted people know that they can help somebody as well. So they really need to pay attention as well. They can help out the community, and we can help each other. And then there are different tools that I've noticed that people use, that blind people are able to access websites and such like that, which is fabulous. Some people know how to use them better than others. Do you guys have materials and publications that can help people access these different instruments, these different tools? Do they have kind of educational materials? I know you guys help teachers and help a lot of people with, get the information out properly, but are there actual information on how to use tools like this?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Malachy.
No, go ahead, Michelle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, our librarians definitely do a lot of one-to-one support with folks for that. People use screen readers and such on the website, so our librarians help make sure that they're able to do that. And if it's challenging for them, then our librarians can also help in filling out forms and doing that. We find, just like Malachy, it's really a mix of folks, from those who are personally blind or low vision, to those who are supporting them, to also Jewish professionals who are supporting members of their community. But we really try, like Malachy and both, and for sure, really try to make things accessible, so that if someone would like to do it for themselves, we are putting all the things in place for them to do that and to support them. And if they'd like help, that we're able to provide that as well.
Yeah, and I would just add, much of what we do, while we don't do any of the technical training, we do partner with many organizations, and some of those organizations do that technical training. So we're a very small organization. We have 6 full-time employees. So we're small, so we rely on partnerships. We partner, with JBI. One of the initiatives that we have ongoing at the moment is working with the National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled to get our content available in the NLS catalog and available for download on their smartphone app, which is called Bard. So that's very important. So we try to work together whenever we can, because we all have this common goal of making this literature available to as many people as possible, and as we say in our mission statement, in whatever format our patrons want it available in. So there are other organizations out there like the NLS, like the National Federation of the Blind, the American Council of the Blind. In New York City, Helen Keller Services for the Blind, Vision Services for the Blind of New York City, and the Lighthouse Guild. They do all types of training, both technical and otherwise, to help our patrons better use the materials and technology that is available to them.
In South Florida, we have the Miami Lighthouse for the Blind and Broward County Lighthouse for the Blind. They teach people how to become more adaptive.
Yeah, two good examples there. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's places across the United States, Lighthouse affiliated and AFB and NFB.
So I'm curious.
What was that?
Oh, I was just saying there's places across the United States, Lighthouse Guilds and NFB groups and others who are available to help with that.
Yes. So what do you think is the biggest barriers that both of you face? I mean, obviously, there's the religious aspect of things because, religion is such a crucial thing in people's lives. And then you have the additional part that you're helping people that have, struggles sometimes in terms of accessing things. What's the biggest barrier both of your organizations face in terms of what you want to accomplish, the goals that you want to accomplish? And what are your goals?
Yeah, so sometimes I think it's just misunderstanding. If you talk to someone, who is blind or visually impaired, they don't want to be treated any differently than anyone else. They want to have the same access. They want to have the same opportunity. We, almost like any other book publisher, will provide the materials upon request. So I think it's misunderstanding, and then also misunderstanding, especially among the sighted community, that people who are blind or visually impaired, can do anything else that their sighted counterparts can do. So we often hear stories about our patrons who read Braille, who want to participate more actively and more visibly, if you would, in their local churches. And there's still, believe it or not, some hesitation about allowing that. I've heard crazy stories. Well, the lighting is not great in the church. It's going to be difficult for a blind person to read. Well, if they're reading Braille, obviously they don't need lighting. So it's that type of misunderstanding, I think, that still serves as a great obstacle.
Yeah, Malachy and Michelle, do you agree? Because I want to come back to that too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that misunderstanding or just lack of knowing, like it doesn't come from a place of malice. It just comes from a place of misunderstanding. And I think sometimes, sighted people think they're being really helpful, and they aren't always, right? They need to sort of pause and ask someone what they need, or let them, choose for themselves. And we also, like Malachy, just feel like we need to help people understand what we have so that those who need the services can come and be part of our patrons. We also have our patrons council and leadership opportunities if folks want to help choose our books and help to be leaders and on our board and such. But also opening up for Jewish community to just feel more comfortable, to just understand that, like Malachy said, folks everybody just wants to be treated just like people, and not let how we take in information define it.
Yeah. And I think also, Michael, the emerging technology is sometimes a challenge, right? Because people say, well, do you really need to produce Braille anymore for children? Why aren't they using the technology, the tools that are available? Why can't they just listen to a book, an audio book? Well, there are certain documents and texts that are, people need to have in their hand and read. You can't bring an audio book to church and listen to the readings and responses and really, pay attention and be part of the community. People who are blind need that in Braille. There are certain books that lend themselves to audio book, right? Certain types of books, but oftentimes it's not. Screen readers and things like that are very important to help individuals navigate the internet and other places. So we just have to be aware that there are many options out there, and it's not one size fits all.
And we want to open up options and give people more ability to get what they want when they need it.
I wanted to say something here that I think that now that I'm older, I realize how important Braille is, because My parents wanted me to read Braille all the time when I was a kid, and it's fascinating because a lot of people find it very interesting when they see Braille. They go, "What's that?" And a lot of people don't know anything about Braille.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that's one of the barriers that we've hit. I appreciate you saying it because I think there's a lot of if they're praying during the week or in a more liberal congregation that's comfortable with using electricity on Shabbat. Others, if they're not, need Braille written on paper. And the people don't necessarily understand what that is and what that need is. And that they also, quite honestly, Braille takes a lot more room than a regular book, and they need to make room for it. Right? I was chatting with one of our patrons who was saying, she talked to her synagogue, and they were like, "Yeah, we totally can keep your Braille book here for Shabbat." And then she brings it, and it's like 5 volumes for Friday night. And they're like, "Oh, we don't have room for that." And she was like, "Well, for God's sakes, just find like there's got to be a closet you can put this in. It's silly that I'm schlepping this box back and forth every Shabbat." And they inadvertently, right? They weren't buying time being movies just by any stretch. But when you say to someone, "We can't store your prayer book for you," we send a message that's not the message that none of us are sending. So it's sort of taking that pause and understanding what's involved and the sort of technical challenges, right? Where to store the Braille book is a technical challenge. It's easily overcome with a little bit of moving boxes and creativity. So just people pausing and taking the moment to think that through.
Yeah, it's been a few years since my children were in elementary school, but I remember, sending them off with their backpacks just stuffed. And you say, well, how are these kids going to walk down the street with these? And can you imagine if, as Michelle said, that one book, one printed book is one small volume. That same book in Braille. The pages are wider and larger, so it's quite a challenge in ways that we don't often take into consideration.
Right.
Mike, I wanted to ask a question also. How are your programs funded? Is it done through the archdiocese and through the synagogues, or do you accept donations?
So JBI Library is completely funded by donations. About 3/4 of our donations come from individuals, either who have graciously included us in their will or who give money on a regular basis. Or one time we have everything from people who send us $1 in quarters every month to people who give us thousands of dollars, and we're incredibly grateful for those funds. Like Malachy said, for Xavier, we do not charge our patrons for any of the materials they receive. Some of our patrons do definitely make donations as well, but we really rely on those donations. And if you're listening to this and you think, "Oh my gosh, I would love to make a donation to JBI Library," you can hop on our website at jbilibrary.org, and there's a donate button there, and we would love for you to support our work.
Yeah, and as Michelle stated, similarly, we rely on individual donations. People remember us in their wills and their estates. We get funding on a fairly regular basis from a number of smaller family foundations that have an affinity for Catholic organizations or for organizations that serve people who are blind or visually impaired. So we've been very, very fortunate over the years that the level of support from our donors has remained quite stable, and it allows us to do what we do, again, free of charge.
Yeah, and I just like Malachy, so I've mentioned that 3/4 of our funding comes from other individuals. The other quarter comes from mostly family foundations and a few other larger foundations who have supported us.
Fabulous. Please, everyone, open your wallets and donate to these wonderful organizations. I'm curious because we have Judaism, we have Catholicism. What about the other religions? And I didn't pursue connecting all of us together today, but what about Hinduism, Buddhism, the many different sects of Christianity? Do they have organizations similar to yours? And do you guys all participate? You guys, Malachy and Michelle, I know you participate together. Do all these organizations participate together?
So there are other organizations for other religions. I know that there's a smaller organization for Islam. There's also the Lutheran Braille workers across the United States. So we have not worked directly with any of those the way that we've partnered with JBI. But yes, they exist, and I believe on a smaller scale.
They have one in the Christian faith called Our Daily Bread. I believe you could get Our Daily Bread in Braille. And it talks about different things about how to live as a Christian, and it has different things in it.
Very cool, Mike. Mike, do you want to talk about any of them? They mentioned misunderstandings, and one of the things that I heard Michelle or Malachy say is pause, go a little bit slower. These misunderstandings cause a lot of confusion and a lot of things, and I've had them myself with our group. How do we, as human beings, understand to not have these misunderstandings? Mike's been told on numerous occasions, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it might be you can't bowl, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. And it sounds like the same thing happens with both of your organizations. Any suggestions? And Mike, do you want to talk to this a little bit, or Naomi?
Well, I tend to think that things are getting better. People may not be able to understand, but they try to, I think, for the most part.
So I guess that's the first step, try.
Yeah.
Try to understand.
Yeah. Mike, it was interesting. I was recently we participated, one of my colleagues and two of my board members, actually. It was a conference, it was the National Catholic Partnership on Disability. So this issue often comes up, and prior to that was a few months ago, I was on a part of a webinar for the Vatican. It's called the Dicastery for Integral Human Development, part of the Vatican. And a dicastery is simply a department within the Vatican. And they had asked us what are some of the barriers and stigmas that face people more generally with disabilities. And obviously, from my perspective as head of Xavier Society for the Blind, I was talking about people who are blind or visually impaired. So we had 3 of our board members put together a response. And within the Catholic Church, they said, there are all sorts of physical barriers, right, that exist in churches and parishes and worship spaces. But they also, what they also highlighted was just sort of the culture within the church and within parishes. Make sure that there are blind and visually impaired people in leadership positions, in visible leadership positions within the church globally, institutionally, and within the local parishes. And they said that change has to come not only at the local parish level, but in the seminaries, in training priests and training lay people that work within the Catholic Church. It's very important. And they also went as far as saying, like, some of the preaching, right, the sermons and the homilies. Oftentimes there are passages in the New Testament, and I suppose in parts of the Old Testament as well, where blindness or a disability is equated with sinfulness, right? So there has to be sort of a change in the way that priests and ministers present that material to their congregations. So it's an issue, and it's a long-standing issue, and it runs fairly deep in many places as well.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because without conflict, there is no leadership. I have a saying of that in my company. And without this kind of conflict, you're never going to have a resolution. And to figure out techniques, like take the pause, like the things that you're identifying here, everything would stay the same. So I like it that people are talking about these things.
Yeah, and I also, so I am newer to JBI Library. I've been here about 4.5 months now, and I'm a sighted person. And so part of what was really critical to me was just to do a lot of learning and reading from Jewish leaders who are blind or low vision, right? To talk to them, to have conversations, to read. And there's a few really beautiful books to have on your radar if that is your journey as well. There's a beautiful book called Loving Our Own Bones, Disability, Wisdom, and Spiritual Subversiveness by Rabbi Julia Watts Bessler, who really does, I think, Malachy, what you were just talking about, there's some really problematic stuff in our holy text of how we talk about disabilities. And Julia just does, Rabbi Bessler does an amazing job of lifting up those texts, bringing them into full light, and offering alternative interpretation, or sometimes just feeling the comfort to reject them, right? Sometimes just feeling the safety to say, look, this is really problematic. It's really problematic the way that Jacob, who was blind, was tricked in order to give his blessing differently to his children, right? It's just wrong. And how do we talk about that, and how do we bring those things to light? There's another one, Just Human. You can look up the author of that one, who's a blind activist, who's the research associate for ACB. Let me look it up so I can give you exactly what her name is. But it's another beautiful example. Dr. Ariel Silver wrote
Dr. Ariel Silverman?
Yeah, Dr. Ariel Silverman. She's the research director for the association, for the Federated, right? I'll get it. It'll come to me, ACB. And she talks about also her journey as a blind woman in Jewish life, where her synagogue was both an incredible support for her and also a place where she often felt very separate from the community and very taken care of in a way that ultimately ended up feeling uncomfortable. It was sweet that they wanted to take care of her, but she really names the frustration of wanting to stand on her own two feet and wanting to play and wanting to do everything that all the other kids who were sighted was doing. And because they loved her, they tried too much to take care of her and to stop her from those things. So I think there's also, if you like me are a sighted person entering this journey, those conversations and reading those voices and learning from them is a really important part of the journey.
I have a question. What kind of services do they have in Israel for the blind?
So Israel has its own organization. And they also, interestingly, their Hebrew, Braille Hebrew in Israel is a little different. It doesn't have the vowels, and a few of the letters are different. But they have a good amount of support there and their own organizations. We actually have recently started to work with a school for the blind there. We offer college scholarships through a generous donation and from one of our families, and offer around $220,000 worth of college scholarships a year. And we have brought them both to American citizens and also Israelis. It's open to anyone in the world. But we started to work with some of their blind schools there to help give that support also. So Israel has their own infrastructure, but we definitely are related and supporting that community.
Okay, I would like to say something, Mike.
Go ahead.
Sure.
This is Naomi. I want to thank you both for being so caring and helpful with the disabled, the disability community. I also want to talk about the misunderstanding. Yes, there is a lot of misunderstanding coming from the sighted world about the blind and any disability. We get shut out. They don't know how to relate to us sometimes. Some people might have a problem because they never met a person with a disability. The blind is out there a lot. We do raise families. I raised 3 children, have a bunch of great-grand and grandchildren. I have a big family, and I was always involved. But I did go to a boarding school, so I was only home on the weekends. But when I grew up, I helped Mom and Dad a lot with the ones that were younger than me. I learned how to do everything. I adapted because I've been blind since I was 1 year old. And this misunderstanding about that, we can't do anything, is just not real. I mean, it could only happen if the parents also shut them out. Don't let them learn. They do everything for them. Some people even get dressed. And this is not good because it's not letting them, expand themselves in their life. And then when the parents pass away and they might not have much family to get help from, they can't help themselves. So they end up somewhere else, or it would be better if they could just stay home and have an HHA or a CNA or someone coming in helping them out. But putting them in a nursing home or something like that, I think that's kind of sad, especially when they're young. And so also I want to say that this is why we are trying to expand this program. This program is called Just Like You, and it's meant to the sighted world. And we're trying to help them and counsel them on how they should treat the disabled. If you see a blind person, why are you so afraid to help them? Say hi, start some kind of conversation or something.
Yeah.
We're human beings. We also have, us women are wired like women and men are wired like men. It's no different except for when you're shut out. And so this is why we have this program, because we want to share with people what the problems are and what we can do about them.
Thank you, Naomi. Felicia,
Thank you.
We have Felicia on today, Felicia Brown-Rinstead, and Felicia helps people get jobs, and she has had a sighted issue for a while. Felicia wanted to ask a question also on top of your question, so I'm turning it over to Felicia.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We hear
Okay, I
you.
wasn't sure. So good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. I did want to kind of piggyback off of what Naomi was talking about, and the lack of understanding from the sighted community. Just a little background to Malachy. Am I pronouncing that correct?
Malachy.
And Michelle. Malachy and Michelle. Malachy, yeah, Y on the end. And Michelle. Regarding the misconceptions or the unawareness, I guess, of some sighted people. It has been my experience. I have bilateral nystagmus, so my eyes move back and forth really fast. So not only is that visible to a lot of people, that's also the root, I think, of the reason why as Naomi was talking about being shut out, because it's just visible, and I think it scares people. So that is something that I think, and as a counselor, I think weighs heavy in the sighted community, is that it's uncomfortable. And those biases do exist. And that, I think, in addition to not understanding, or, not really wanting to understand, because from my perspective, it goes back to being uncomfortable around someone who's not like them, or not like, it's a visible issue going on there. So the question for me is more so of helping people understand that everybody is human. Every single person in the world is human. It doesn't matter whether they're physically challenged, visually challenged, black, white, polka dot, whatever the case is, everybody is human. And that humanity, I think, is at the core of understanding. And I think those issues definitely need to be addressed, and especially in the church. And that's a whole separate subject. But yeah, I mean, in addition to that, or bringing that awareness to people, like Naomi was saying, women are wired like women, men are wired like men. It's no different. Everybody bleeds red, So just helping people to be able to identify their own biases and the reasons why, this is the counselor talking, the reasons why they're responding the way they do. And I think that would be very helpful, in addition to bringing awareness to, the issues that blind and visually impaired people deal with on a daily basis. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say regarding that. Because it
Alicia,
does
I'm going to add something to this, and I'm going to put the Malachy and Michelle maybe on the spot here. But we got a question from Bill, and Bill asked, do you all hire people that have sighted, that are blind or have sighted issues? So I'm seeing the shaking head, yes. So I want to ask you your experience, because Felicia also gets people jobs. She has a group of a nonprofit that she started helping people get jobs. So I'm curious, you were both shaking your heads, yes. So whoever wants to go first, tell us how your experience there and how that's helped your organizations.
Sure. So I would say, I can say that 1/3 of our staff has visual impairments, right? But again, we're full-time staff is 6 people, so we have 2 people who are visually impaired, and they came from organizations like Vision Services for the Blind of New York City, who provide training, vocational training, and job placement for people who are blind and visually impaired. One of our staff members now, she originally started with us as an intern with support through the New York State Commission for the Blind. So we do try to do that, and we have a board of directors of 8 people, and two of our board members are blind, and we've had other board members in the past who are blind or visually impaired as well. So it's very important for us, as we recruit new board members, that we recruit people who represent the community that we serve.
I love it.
Yeah, and we're similar. Our team our team is a bit bigger. We have 21 full-time staff, and of those, 3 or 4 are blind or low vision. We have a similar story of partnership with the Vision Services of New York, and one of our full-time staff members started as an intern with them and then joined us full-time. She works on our Braille machines with us. We also have one of our keyboard translator into Braille, is also blind. And like Malachy, I would say it's been a journey for the organization, if we're going to be real, right? 15 years ago, There was one person, maybe two on our board who was blind and not necessarily on our staff. And I would say that over the last 15-ish years, especially my predecessor, really started to think deeply about it, right? The world has changed in awareness. And there was a point, I think, where JBI Library way back leaned a little bit more into sort of just helping people as opposed to recognizing, I think, Alicia, what you said, which was, we're all just people, and obviously people who are blind or low vision are more than capable than to work in the organization and to help lead the organization. And so we really leaned really deep into that. Lydia Thompson, who was my predecessor for a few years as an intern, really leaned deep into making sure we had people on our staff. We do have a long-time partnership with the Helen Keller Foundation and have interns from that organization who come in, who help to train, and some who have stayed for much longer than their internship. And our board is expanding now. We have 28, 29 people on my board, a good percentage of now are blind and low vision. We have recently launched a book council that is helping with the selection of our books, and that's made up of patrons as well. So really thinking about just how we naturally partner, how we naturally model what that looks like, but also recognize a not about us without us mentality, right? That we really are in that space, that we're doing this together, bringing in each of our different.
And be okay with the differences. It's okay.
Yeah, right. And celebrate. Felicia, when you were talking, one of the things I thought about, there's a, in the Jewish religion, we talk about the idea of B'Tselem Elohim that comes out of the book of Genesis, that people are created B'Tselem Elohim in the image of God. And it's one of the things that in this work I think about all the time, that we are all in the image of God. God is expansive with so many multitudes, and all of us with all of the things we bring in that make us human, make us different, are all sacred and all have a space here.
Yeah, and I remember way back, Sesame Street. I used to love Sesame Street when I was younger, and Kermit the Frog had a song that said it's okay to be green.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about
It's
it.
good to be green. There's yeah.
I love it because it's making this planet a better place. And you guys, Michelle and Malachy, we're so grateful to have both of you and have the organizations, the JBI and Xavier Society for the Blind, both these organizations helping people on a day-to-day basis, and the world, you made the world a better place, and we're so grateful that you're on this program. Does anybody want to say anything before we close for today?
So
I'd just like to thank Michelle and Xavier for being here, and it was great. I hope everybody got a lot of good information, and I will pass the information on to people in my day-to-day going out and doing things.
I also want to say, don't let it be a misunderstanding. We're just like you. We love to do everything. We like to learn how to do things. We like to interact with people, make friends. We're just like you. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you so much, Naomi, and so grateful for everyone, and thank you. And again, Al Gordon, thank you for having us on your show.
No
radio
problem.
Station.
Al, thank you for everything that you've done. You've done a wonderful, wonderful job, and you're a wonderful person.
I appreciate you saying that.
Thank you.
Yep. Michelle, congratulations on your position. And we've been doing business with JBI for many years here and running the PSAs and whatnot. And Malachy, thanks for coming on. And Mike wants to close with a particular song, I think, right?
Right.
Okay, I had to reach out to my Sunday morning guy, Mike Greenberg, who does our 6 to 10 program called Kol Yehudim, and I asked him for a good, nice, upbeat version of the song that you asked for. So we're going to close with that, and we thank everybody for coming on here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
WJGR, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
She's out of reach and out of sight when she walks by.